Sirens, Slammers, and Service, a podcast for female first responders by female first responders. My name is Nikki Clucci, and I will be your host. As a former correctional officer in Alberta for almost 2 decades and the founder of Blue Line Fitness Testing, which provides law enforcement fitness testing and first responder wellness workshops, I started this podcast as a way for female first responders to share the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of their daily work. I want to showcase the unique perspectives, skill sets, and personalities that women bring to a first responder career and share their stories. So get ready to laugh your ass off, learn a whole bunch, and be inspired by some pretty badass women. Let's go. Welcome back, guys. I am so fucking excited for this episode. I've been waiting for this one for a couple weeks. We had to do some rescheduling, but this is going to be an episode for all of my listeners who are looking to get into the RCMP, who want to know what the depot experience is like, and who are just wondering what it's like once you get out of depot and you start that first posting at your first detachment. Today, we have one of the sweetest, cutest little people that I have ever met. I absolutely love her. We have Kathya Langlois. She is a constable with the Fort McMurray detachment with the RCMP, and she graduated from depot December 20th, 2021. So on the day that we're recording this, a year and 2 days ago. And so welcome, Kathya. Thank you for coming. I love it. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me, Nikki, and thanks to you guys for listening.
I'm so excited for this one. So as soon as I was like kind of putting together the episodes for season 2, you were definitely one of the first people in my mind. And I was like, I just have to call her and like convince her to do it and be like, please come on my show. Please come on my show. So the crazy thing for the listeners that don't know is that Kathya and I actually met through Blue Line. So she was going to depot. I think you already had your depot date, and she called me up and she was like, hey, like I'm going to depot in, what was it, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that?
I think it was less than 2 months anyways.
Yeah. And you're like, so I want to try this pair thing out because I don't really know what to expect. And I was like, sure, let's do it. So you came in around with me. We did a couple of push-pull workshops, things like that. You got yourself all ready to go to depot. And then off you went to depot. And I was like, fly, my little birdie, go and do amazing things. And then basically we kind of touched base a couple times through depot and just like a couple check-ins and stuff. And then when you graduated, just being able to kind of talk to you and find out how you were doing and being stationed up in Fort Mac. So let's jump into it. I want to hear all about your kind of journey, how you got here, what you were doing before, and how depot was, because I'm super curious to know what your experience was.
Well, before depot, I was actually working at Megatech. It's actually a company that outfits emergency vehicles. Such as RCMP vehicles, sheriff vehicles, all kind of vehicles. So I would get to talk to RCMP members or sheriff officers or all kind of first responders. So I worked there for about 2 years. But my biggest dream was to become a doctor whenever I was in university. So I've always wanted to help people in life and such, but becoming a doctor seemed kind of too far ahead, right? Like it's so stressful, and it's so stressful to even get in, and like it's not like, I don't know, I did see myself stressing over getting like a career and like something that I would like to do in life. So I just thought about like what other way I could try and like, help other people, maybe becoming a police officer. And then why I chose RCMP, it's mostly because I mean, you can go anywhere in Canada, right? You're not just strictly in one city and then you're stuck there for the rest of your life. Like if you want to move provinces, well, you're more than welcome to just apply for posting in different provinces. So I like the idea of maybe being able to move one day if like my family wanted to move somewhere. And then it's such a big organization, so many different like departments and such. So if you're tired of doing general duty, well, in a few years you can apply for the drug department or like DVAT unit for domestic violence or like just major crimes and all of that. So that's kind of why I decided to go towards the RCMP instead of just a provincial.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for sure. Like I've got a couple of friends that have been in the RCMP for 20 some years, and they talk about like all the things. And even once they like as they're kind of going into it, obviously doing a little bit of research, like, oh, what are these different things you can do? But then once you get into it, it's like this whole other side of it opens up, and it's like, oh, you can do this too, and you can do this, and you can do this, and you can do this. Like my one friend Sandra started as like a constable in Manitoba, and now is one of the top blood spatter analysts people here in Edmonton, right? And like went totally kind of out of the, beat officer and into the science and CSI stuff. And like, I never even thought that that would even be a thing within the RCMP. So to hear that, I think it's like so cool. There's just so many cool opportunities. It's such a good, diverse kind of force, I think for sure. And I'm with you on the being able to travel across Canada. To me, that would be like a huge pull too. I think it depends for people. Some people don't want to move at all. They're very happy where they're at. But I think that sense of adventure, being able to go work anywhere and know that you're going to get a strong wage no matter where you go, like, yes, please sign me up.
Yeah, and the benefits are so good too, right? Like you can't really complain with the benefits that the RCMP gives you. So, I mean, it's such a plus compared to some other organizations and such.
So did you have any schooling that was specific to like policing or justice or anything like that?
No,
No.
nothing at all. I did a bachelor degrees in science, so my major was biology and my minor was psychology. Because as I said, I my biggest dream was to become a doctor, so that's the way I went whenever I went straight to university. But other than that, no, not really. So I mean, it's for everyone, right? Like if you decide whenever you're 40 years old you want to become a police officer, I mean, it's never too late. There's people at depot that are like variety of ages, right? Some ranging from let's say like 17 to in their 40s and such. So I mean, it's never too late. So never give up, guys. That's not
That's
a
awesome. That's awesome. I love it. That's a good message. It's true. And actually I was talking to my friend Ange, and she's the recruiting sergeant for Calgary Police. And she was saying too, a lot of their applicants are coming in as a second career to the police, right? So they've, worked somewhere else for 10, 15 years and have said, I'm gonna finally, like you said, take that leap and kind of run for your dreams, and they've applied and they've gotten in. So let's talk about the application process for you. So you kind of, you said, yeah, I want to do it. So then what was the next step for you?
well, get in shape, get my shit together. Because I mean, I was a big couch potato. I didn't like training and all, so I knew this was gonna be well. I thought it was gonna be one of my biggest struggles going there, because training down there, you constantly run and such, and then you got to work out 5 times a week. And I used to never work out at all, so I think it was my biggest struggle. Just start to run and like start to like get myself into being fitter and like getting myself together because I knew it was going to be hard to begin with, like just to be there for 6 months, like mentally, but physically, I knew it was going to be a big struggle too. So the sooner you get in shape, like the better it is once you're down there, right? Like you don't have to struggle for the physical part of it. So you can just concentrate on the mental part of it.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too. Like we've been saying, like I think some people are taking it as like, oh, well, I'm just gonna go in at like the bare minimum and I'll just get better over the 6 months. But why I always say like that means you have to then not only are you then taking in all the information that you need to learn at depot, which is like drinking from a fire hose, but now you're also gonna have to do extra fitness on top of that. Like it's already gonna be difficult. Why would you make it more difficult, right? Why would you not just do the easiest thing you possibly could and be in shape before you go, right? Or be in the best, shape that you can be before you can
Yeah.
go, right?
Oh no, for sure. And I would suggest to take classes and such, and just like whatever I did with you, right? Like just
Mm-hmm.
taking the pair just for the sake of it, just to see where I was. And like I sucked ass. Like I couldn't believe my time and such. Whenever I got out of the pair practice and such, I was like, oh my god, this is what it's all about, right? Like I don't know, I was kind of shocked and stuff, but it depends. Like I said, like I'll be forever grateful for you because I told my mom like if Nikki was in there like just pushing me like the way she did and like screaming the way she does whenever you go up and down the stairs, like I would have probably been traumatized for the rest of my life. Like this test, like people think it's some like crazy easy test, but like once you get at it, it's something else. But I believe they changed it now, right? Like it's going to be something different. The
Yeah.
pair is like changing for like applications coming forward. So I mean, I've never done the new one or whatever, so I wouldn't be able to talk for that new test and such. But for that previous one, I know it kicks your ass.
Yeah. Well, and so my friend Sandra, she actually got a chance to run it as like an experienced officer, as one of the pilots. And she said, she's like, yeah, she goes, it's fucking tough. Like it's tough. And I mean, obviously she's not a 20-year-old recruit anymore. She's like 50 now, but she said like it's a different it's a different fitness. Like pair was a lot of running, right? And it's not as much
Yeah.
running. It's a lot more like endurance based stuff. She said your legs are absolutely done at the end of it from all the lifting and carrying and things like that. So but she also said it's a lot more realistic as to like the jobs you're doing, right? Like so one of the things is like you're loading your
Duty.
gear into the back of a truck, and she's like, yeah, like that's what we would be doing, and carrying your gear to a scene and things like that. So I really like that they kind of did a revamp of it and looked at the different kind of things, like the way the job has changed, right? The job has changed over the last 30 years. And so it's
Oh,
good that
for
they're
sure.
looking at it, right? Yeah, and we're actually Blue Line's looking into getting the equipment to be able to start running that for recruits too, so they can be prepared before they go. So that'll hopefully be something, fingers crossed, coming in 2023 once we can get the specs on it. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so tell me, so you got yourself physically ready. What about like the written test to get in and kind of the interview process? Can you walk me through that for how that was for you?
Well, the written, I didn't have to write the written test, right? Because whenever I applied, if you had a bachelor degrees or some kind of diploma of 2 years at university or a college, you could bypass that step. Um,
Oh, I didn't know
I,
that.
I didn't have to do the written part of it. I know it changed now. I think it's everyone needs to do it. But as whenever I did it, I skipped that step. So I mean, it's the only good thing that the university gave me. It's the bypass written test. But other than that, so written test, I wouldn't be able to really speak for it. So I'm not too sure what it looks like, but you do like the psychological test, which is like a few hours, like many questions that you need to answer, and then you go through that. You also do the interview. They call you. There's also the polygraph. The polygraph is super stressful. I mean, like you tell the truth whenever you fill out your forms and such, but I feel like they just pick on you and they just want you to like to see if you'll fall apart or whatever. If there's like many stuff that you didn't say or like disclosed in your form. So this was really draining. It's like a 2 hours that you're just stuck there on the chair and then someone's staring at you and asking questions. So I'd say it was probably the hardest part of it.
Yeah.
But other than that, just stay yourself. It's my biggest whatever I would recommend people to do. Stay yourself and then just be honest, right? Like you don't want cops to liars and such to become cops. So I mean, I would recommend you to say the truth because eventually they'll for sure find out and it'd probably be the worst case for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny because I was doing interview prep for somebody and they were like, yeah, and they'd gotten deferred, not from the RCMP, but from corrections. And they were like, yeah, well, like I kind of like bullshitted on my answers last time. And I was like, I'm sorry, what did you say? And he's like, well, yeah, I kind of like lied on my answers. And I was like, in a law enforcement interview. And he was like, well, yeah. And I was like, to people that are literally trained to ferret out liars, like what? And he was like,
Yeah, I know.
he's like, oh, yeah, I guess when you put it like that. And I was like, what other way was there to, like, I don't understand what you were thinking. And he's like, well, I panicked. And I was just like, and you lied? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, and you're shocked that you were deferred. And he was like, well, now that you say it like that. And I was like, oh my God, dude. I'm like, just tell the truth. Like, yes. And like my friend Anne said too, they've heard everything. They have heard everything that people have done. And they just want to know that you're not going to lie about it, that you're going to be honest about it, and that they can make a decision then based on that. Right. So,
I mean,
yeah.
at this point, they know like so much about your life already, right? Because you filled out about like your previous 10 years of your life and such. So they basically know everything about you. So I'm sure they look into your profiles and such on social media. So I don't think there's lots to lie about at this in this case. So
Yeah.
nah, just say the truth, and then I mean it's your best way to go forward in your applications because they'll for sure find out.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So you go through, they send you the email, okay, you've got a depot date. So what's like the thought that goes through your head when you get this email or this call saying like, hey, in 8 weeks you're going?
I just started crying. I was with my mom. I remember the day like it was yesterday. Like I was like, Mom, and she looked at me. She's like, that's your call. It's your call. And I said, yes. So I couldn't believe in myself. Like you don't believe it until you receive that call. I feel like, right? Because they get so many applications. Not so much lately. I think they're just running low on applications. I think they're just struggling and like getting some troops filled out right now at depot. So I mean, we need people to apply and such. So people, my peeps, apply, and come help us out because we're in need of police officers.
Yeah,
But
there you go.
it's unreal. Like it's like a dream come true. You just don't think this day will ever come. And then, I mean, some people don't even get, like, I was lucky enough to get over a month of like a notice and such, and people get like a week, right? So I feel for me like it was really good because I got the news ahead of time, so I was able to prepare myself mentally and such, and like physically even more, right? But people
Mhm.
like get their call like a week ahead of time. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, do they send you like this is a list of all the things you're gonna need to bring or prepare, like how you need to prepare? Like, what? How does that work?
They send you a list of whatever they recommend for you to bring and such, but that list is super dated. I think it's dated from years ago. So, there's currently like a Facebook group for people that are actually going to depot and such. So I added myself to that group on Facebook, and I was able to see what people would recommend for us to bring. So it was really useful, right? Like those groups are very useful. They tell you like what to expect in some kind of ways and what to bring and what's useless to bring from their list and what they would really recommend for you to bring and such. So that helped me a lot. And I mean, my mom was always there to ship stuff to me if I needed to. So that helped a lot also.
What was one thing that you were like, fuck, I should have brought this and had to get shipped?
Just medication itself. Like I forgot some of my meds that I was taking whenever I was home. So I should have like probably brought some instead of just having mom to send some my way whenever I was there if I needed to. So if you're prone to having some stuff whenever you're home and such, don't forget your medication because it might take a while for you to get it.
Yeah, totally. And what did you bring that you didn't need?
I brought so much stuff from like pharmacy wise, like such as like Advils and like everything. So some of the medication I could have avoided, but like you're better off to bring more than not enough, right? So
yeah, for sure.
I brought too much clothes, so don't bring too much clothes.
Because you're not wearing them, you're just wearing a uniform all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Like you barely have time to dress or do anything. And I was there during COVID, so it sucked, right? Like you couldn't go out anytime. Like we would always be on base, so it was kind of useless to have that much clothes.
So okay, so they say, Kate, this is your start date. You get yourself ready. You're driving out. You drove out there. Did you have a car while you were out there?
No, I flew.
You flew. Okay. So
Yeah.
you get there with all your stuff and what's it like? What are you doing? What, like, you get off the airplane and somebody comes to get you? Like, how does that work?
That's what I thought. I was like, oh my God, is someone gonna pick me up? Or like, what's this shit? What am I getting myself into? But no, like you literally take the cab. So like you wait for a cab there at the airport, take a cab, and then you just go to the reception down there, like Fort Dufferin, that's what it's called anyways. You go there, you meet the guards, and like here you go, they give you your keys, they show you the room that you're starting in, and that's it. Like I was like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into?
So were you
Like,
by yourself in a room, or did you share? Because it was COVID, so it is slightly different, but were you bunking with somebody or?
no, for the time we had to do 2 weeks in quarantine there, so we had like isolate for 2 weeks. So we had our own separate rooms and such. And since we were joining, well, I took part of a French troop, but the French troop I was joining them because they were taking the 3 extra months of English. I didn't need to take the 3 extra months because my English was fair enough already. So I just joined them once they were done their 3 months of English. So there was six of us that was joining them. So the 6 of us had to isolate for 2 weeks. We could barely even see each other. So it took a while for us to even like see the rest of the people, the troops and such. And so it was kind of hard to just like, they've known each other for 3 months already, right? All of them. So it's kind of hard to adjust and like, I mean, meet them and like get ourselves into the troop itself, right? Like, because we were joining them 2 months after they already had time spent together. So that made it hard for us. But I mean, it worked out in the end. So
you isolate and you're basically just sitting in your room. Like, did they give you any work to do? Like any like studying, anything like that? Or are you just literally sitting in your room like shitting your pants for 2 weeks waiting until you have to start?
They actually give you like a huge binder of such of stuff to start reading. And then we had MS Teams. So in the first 2 weeks or whatever that we had to isolate, the classes were starting I think I got there a Saturday, and the classes were starting the Monday. So classes were starting, but we were doing classes online. So the rest of the troop were in class, and then us that we had to isolate for an extra 2 weeks. Well, we would join them on MS Teams and then just be on our laptop and like try and communicate with them through the laptop and such. So it was all right, I feel like, but would have been way better if COVID wasn't there. It made things so much more complicated with the masks and like people having to isolate for 2 weeks, and like it was terrible. I felt like it's almost in jail. You're almost in jail whenever you're in there during COVID. So gladly, like right now it's done and like things are becoming normal again. But like depot itself is hard. So going to depot during COVID just made it worse.
Yeah, totally would. So you finish isolating, you're coming out, you're meeting your troop, and it's like, hey guys, you've all been friends for 2 months. I'm Kathya. How are you?
No, exactly. So it just made it super awkward and super hard. But I mean, people were really nice. And I mean, you do whatever you have, right? Like you're stuck there for 6 months. So you got to get your shit together and make it work.
Yeah. Was there anybody else that was from Edmonton or no?
Oh, no. Everyone was from Quebec.
Yeah, because it was a French group. Yeah. So then are you training alongside? So like a French group is going through, are you training alongside like an English troop that was going through too? Or were you guys, is it just your troop that's there at that time?
So there was many other troops like at depot. I think whenever we were there was, maybe 15 troops.
Whoa.
I forget the exact amount, but there's several troops. We were the only French troop because there's only one at the time. But yeah, there's several other like English troops.
And so you join in, and what's like the first thing that they kind of hit you with? What are you doing like first kind of day that you're joining your group?
Well, the first days and such, you go get your pictures done for your cards. There's several other things that you do. You just go sign more paperwork and get your stuff started, right? Like sign your paperwork, meet some of your teachers and such, and you just go from there. It's the first days are kind of easy and such, but like it hits like a big bomb at first. Like the first few days, I'd say the first 5 weeks are probably the hardest to get used to.
And so what is it? Like what's hard about it? Like just so much information or long days, or like what exactly is it?
Well, long days and just getting used to the lifestyle down there, right? Like it's such a routine that you wake up early, and then long days, like you said, it's just you start super early and you don't finish until late. There's so many homeworks to do. You got to go work out. Like you can't just say, oh fuck it, I've got no time to work out, I'll just do that tomorrow. But like they count every single time that you work out, and like so you can't skip a day, and like your stuff needs to be done for the next day if you don't want to just run late in your stuff, right? It's hard. Like you're leaving your family, you're leaving everything. So I just feel like emotionally it's super hard. It hits you real hard too, right? Knowing that you're there for 6 months. And so I feel like it's just probably the hardest weeks. I mean, it's hard too because you're doubling, right? They call it doubling. You're just running every time from one building to the other. You can't walk. You're not allowed. So you double. But I think they don't even do that no more at depot. I think it was causing too many injuries. I mean, it's hard like for your body, and like emotionally you're like, what the hell, am I going to be able to even make it for 6 months? Or if I was able to do it, anyone is, I think.
Love it. That's awesome. So describe me kind of like a typical day then. You're getting up at what, 5?
It always depends what your schedule looks like, but I'd say you wake up, gotta do a group meeting outside, so you meet with the troop and then go from there, right? Like you would have to go for breakfast and then come back and get ready, get all your uniform done, and then get your bag packed up for the day, and you don't return to your dorms until at night, right? Like around 5:30 or 6. So all your stuff is usually in your bag. I've learned that now they do have laptops or tablets for every cadets that go there. So that makes it easier, right? We didn't have that. So we would have to attend the building to do all our homeworks and stuff. But now with tablets, it makes it easy. So if you want to be in your dorm at night, I'm sure you can work on some stuff. So that helps too. But we didn't have that. But yeah, it's basically classes. So it ranges from like APS, which is like theory, like stuff that you learn from the criminal code and such like that. And then you've got like drill, which is like teaches you how to march and like all this stuff, and then firearm, and then driving. So your schedule just ranges from one department to the other during the day, depending of what you're scheduled for.
And you said, so you're having a troop meeting in the morning. So did you have to do like absolutely everything with your troop? Like you meet up in the morning, you all go to the mess hall together, you all eat breakfast at the same tables, you all come back. Yeah. Okay. It really
Yeah,
kind
so
of drilling that togetherness into you, the teamwork into you.
yeah, no, for sure. We would always do everything as a troop, go from one building to the other. Whenever one class is done, you meet outside of the building there, meet with your troop, and then we can't leave until everyone's there. So if someone runs late, well, the whole troop runs late. So
Yeah. So when you're in the classes, is there other troops in the classes too? Like, is it like kind of like a university where you go and then everybody's together? No, so it's just your troop is in the class.
yeah, just your own troop. So several other troops are just doing other classes, and then we alternate, right? So
Yeah.
if you're like doing driving, then your next troop would go driving after that, and then you'd go to firearms and just alternate from one place to the other all day long.
Yeah. And so then in the evening, you're coming back to you're having supper, you're coming back to your dorms. And then what are you doing? Basically, that's when then you're going to do your homework and then you're coming back. So what time are you going to bed at? Like 11?
Well, yeah, you try and go. You can't be out of the dorms. I think you gotta be in your room by 10:30 or some such. I can't even recall the time exactly, but you gotta be in your own dorm by that time. But I mean, if you're not done studying, some people would just stay out and like study in their dorms and just do all that. But you gotta make sure your training is done by that time because all the other buildings are closed, right? So
Holy man, that is a
yeah,
lot.
it's busy. Yeah, it's busy evenings. Like you just gotta manage your time really nicely there to try and have everything in order, because in your spare time you gotta take time to go eat, then get your workouts in, do your homework, do your file work, get your stuff ready for the next day, depending if there's inspections and such, right? You would have to make sure your rooms are clean. So it never ends. Like it's very tireful days, and it's very lengthy. It seems like it's
Yeah.
never ending.
Yeah, totally. I was just thinking the exact same. It sounds like it never ends. That's crazy. So, out of all the things you were learning while you were there, like what was your favorite thing to learn, or what was your favorite kind of, subject to kind of delve into?
My favorite one, I'm not sure.
You didn't have a favorite one? Oh my God. I think it would be driving for me. I'd be like, lights and sirens, let's go.
Yeah, no, the driving part was super nice too, right? Especially the day we had on the track and such, and then we had to do obstacles and such and go crazy, drive super fast. So yeah, it was probably my best one, but there's so much stuff that I hated that it's probably easiest to answer what did I dislike the most. But driving was fun. Like the days on the track and such were super fun. Like it was always racing with your peers and such who was going to be able to do it faster. And but it's fun. It's like you learn so many things all at once, right? So it's just how to cope with everything all at once is
Yeah, taking it all in and then like
yeah.
retaining it. Because that's the other thing is like you don't just get to like take it in and then be like, okay, now forget it, move on to the next subject. It's like, no, you actually need to remember that shit so that when you leave depot, you know how to fucking do it. Like,
Yeah, but it's so different in real life, right? Like you feel like what you learn in depot is super different and like once you're posted, because I feel like it's depot is just like so straightforward, like it's just basic stuff that you need to learn, but everything else just comes whenever you're in your posting, and like you learn new things whenever you're working at first. It's super different.
So let's go back to what did you hate about depot? Because it sounds like there's a big list.
I hated firearms.
Oh,
Firearms was my struggle. Like I don't know, my hands are super tiny, so I feel like the grip on the gun itself, like I don't know, it was a struggle for me. It was so stressful, and like good thing I had my hubby trying to teach me a bunch of stuff at night and like trying to like be there for me, support me, because it's just so hard for everyone. Like it's so stressful. You can't, like if you don't pass the test or such, you're back trooped, and like it was my biggest struggle from day one. So every time I would, like if you fail an exam, you're just so stressed about being back troop and like going into another troop that you don't know anyone, and so it's just a constant stress. But firearms probably the biggest thing. Like I feel like it never ended till the first class till the end. I was like, oh my god, am I gonna do it? Am I gonna get it? Am I?
I remember because
I
you
don't
sent
know.
me you sent me a message when you passed it, or I think it was the day before. You're like, oh my God, Nikki, I have my firearms test tomorrow, and like, oh my God, I have to
Yeah,
pass this, and I'm shitting my pants, and I'm so stressed. And then it was like you sent me a message the next day. You're like, I passed, and I was like,
yeah.
oh,
Oh my god. And even for my mom's like, what? it was stressful for you, daughter, but it was so stressful for me too. She was on the hedge for like fucking 6 months too, just stressing her life away, not knowing what the hell's gonna happen with me down there.
Oh my gosh, your mom sounds like a total gem. Like she just sounds like an awesome person. I love it.
Yeah, no, I love her. Good thing she was there.
Yes, okay, and so then let's talk about, so you said you met your husband in depot. So tell me about this because I think this is like literally the cutest little Cinderella story ever. So you met your husband in depot. So he was obviously in your troop, I'm assuming. And
Yeah.
so you guys just basically like connected and you're like, hello, soulmate. I would like to
Yeah.
marry you.
It was super strange because both of us were not going to depot trying to look for love. We were both like into like relationship before even getting there. So I mean, we were just there to get depot done, and that was it, right? It just clicked so like right away. Like we didn't talk really the first weeks or such because it was hard to even get to know people because, as I said, mentioned a bit earlier, like they knew each other for 2 weeks to begin with, 3 months to begin with, right? We were just getting there. But like as soon as we started talking, like we did everything from morning to night together. Like it was crazy. Good thing he was by my side. Like as I said, he was staying. Like we would do everything together, go to the mess, eat dinner, do our own work. He would push me, come and run for like with me. He was super fast at running, but he would still like just run with me, push me, and like I feel like you need that person to help you push through like your hardest obstacles, right? Like it's so hard for me. It was probably the biggest challenge of my life to even be there for 6 months. So I don't know, he for sure pushed me through it. Then he's one of the biggest reason I made it through for sure.
Aw, that's so cute. I absolutely love it. When you came and introduced me and I was like, cute, you guys are so cute. Like they're just to the listeners, literally like picture the cutest couple you've ever seen in your life. And that's these two. They're fucking adorable. And are we allowed to share your great news?
Yeah, we can.
Now you're pregnant, 18 weeks pregnant.
Yeah.
Yay. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see this baby. I'm gonna be the crazy aunt that's like, the baby. Yes,
I
very
know.
excited.
I'll bring him. I'll bring the baby, run the pair, whatever.
Yes, totally. Like in a carrier in the front. So that's actually a good point. So did it get easier? Did the physical fitness for you get easier like by the end of it? Because I know by the end of it you smoked your pair. Like you absolutely blew it out of the water. So
To be honest, I thought it was probably gonna be my hardest struggle. Like everything that was physical down there, like the pair and such. But like it was probably what was the easiest for me, and like the pair stuff, like I never had to redo it. So thankfully, like as I said, you guys gotta for sure put the efforts in before even going there and make sure you guys are fit for whatever depot is asking you, because that's for sure makes it a lot better. Like I had never had to redo the pair, so I was for sure ready for it. And like I would really recommend people that are listening to us right now to like take a program and such. Like I did yours, got your program, and it's for sure something that pushes you, and like you know what the pair is, you know whatever like RCMP is. You worked with us for so many years, right? So you for sure know what to look forward to. And so the training and such that I did with your programs really definitely helped me up and pushed me towards my main goal. And as I said, like I never had to restart any of them. So I mean, it was good. So to see that it worked and my progress before even leaving depot worked as well.
that's awesome. That makes my heart so happy. So you're going through and at what point do you find out like where you're going to be posted? Like how far into depot are you before they give you that information?
I think you've got 2 months left.
Okay. So you can start
like maybe 2 months. I'm not sure the exact time, but they don't tell you too early either, right? So you've got few exams and few stuff to pass before they can even look into like your staffing interviews and such. But they start by telling you like to put the provinces in order of wherever you would like to go and such. And I mean, in our troop, we got lucky because everyone got their first province choices. Doesn't always happen this way. People sometimes are stuck in provinces they wouldn't want to be. So our troop ourselves, like we got very lucky. And then once you find out your province, they ask you to list detachment that you would look into or that you would prefer going. But I feel like they don't even look at the detachment itself. They just post you wherever you need it, and that's it after that.
They're like, you can put it down, but we're not actually going to listen to you at all. We're going to do whatever the fuck we want and put you wherever we want.
And then funny story, whenever I told my dad, I said, Dad, the only fucking two places I don't want to go is Grand Prairie and Fort Mac, right? Like, fucking don't send me there. I don't want to go to these two places. And whenever I got my posting, they're like, hey, you and Mark are going to Fort Mac with Buffalo. I was like, oh, fuck, get me out of there already. Like, what is this? So I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, guess where I'm going? Fort Mac, baby. Yeah. Oh, man. I cried. I called my mom. I was like, what the hell did I get myself into?
Yeah. But you guys got to go together, which I was like shocked when you told me that. I was like, they let you go to the same place together? Like, holy shit. Because I would have totally thought, again, the RCMP would have been like, oh, you both want to go there? No. One of you can go to Fort Mac, one of you can go to fucking Lethbridge. See ya. Right? Like,
no, I feel like the main reason we're in Fort Mac is probably because we're together, right? Like, because it's such a big detachment. So they can take in more recruits and such. So I think that's one of the main reasons they send us down there. And the RCMP always tries and puts like couples super like fairly close enough of a distance. So if they would have posted me to Fort Mac, there's not like a detachment close enough they could have posted the other one, right?
Yeah. So yeah. Well, that's good. And so you get your postings and you kind of go, holy shit. And everyone goes, oh my God, right? We're going wherever we're going, right? Does it kind of divide the troop a little bit? Like when you kind of start to realize that like the end is coming and you're not all going to be together anymore?
No, not at all. Well, for us, we're close with like probably, I'd say maybe 10 to 15 people in our troops. And then we're still in touch with them as today, right? Like it's still a group that we were super tight and super like close to, and we still text, we still call each other. So I feel like it's friendship too that you'll make forever, right? Like it's friends that you'll forever be grateful for, and you'll text them, you'll call them, and some friends are meant to be. Some people in my troop, I'll never look into getting into contact with them again, right? Like it's just how it is. Some people you're not meant to keep in contact with, but some people are just your friends forever, and that's something good that's about depot too, right? Like you meet some people that you never thought you'd be able to meet, and it's friendships that will last forever for sure.
So when you say that, like when you're talking about essentially like there were people in your troop that necessarily they're not your people or not people, like how do you navigate that? Like was there anybody that you were like, oh my God, I'm gonna fucking murder this guy? Because I feel like when you bring that many different styles and types of people and personality types together, like there's got to be some friction. And so how do you deal with that? Is it just like fucking turn a blind eye and just try and ignore it and not punch the person out?
No, that's literally how it is, right? Like we're all adults, right? So we can all respect each other. So as long as there's respect and such, like doesn't matter in the end, just respect them. But you're not gonna be friends with everyone. Just show their respect, and that's how really you gotta get through it, right? You're there, so you're stuck there for 6 months, and you've got a goal in the end. So just be respectful towards everyone that's around you, and that's about it, right? Like you just gotta suck it up for 6 months, and after the 6 months, you don't have to see them again.
Yeah, totally. So you're moving towards the end. It's kind of bittersweet. You've got all your exams kind of done. You're coming up to graduation day. What's the prep for graduation day? I'm assuming it's quite a bit because your uniform has got to be like, wow. And your drill has got to be wow.
Yeah. But you're super pumped, right? Like you're like, oh my God, I've got only like a week left and such. And yeah, it's super amazing to think like you get everyone together. Like the last month, I would say you can enjoy your life at depot. You can just enjoy like you're done everything. Your exams are done. You can finally breathe and like spend the rest of your time with your friends and such. And yeah, you got to get your uniform like together and such. But for us, it kind of sucked because it was during COVID. So we didn't really have like the big ceremonies with our parents being able to be there. So no one was really able to be there. So that kind of sucked. Like it's one of your biggest moments in your life and you're like, oh my God, I achieved it, but your parents and family can't be there. So it was a tough time for me because I would have loved to see my family there.
Yeah.
But
did they not like stream it so your parents could watch it, or just like
they did and stuff,
just not
but
the same.
It's not the same as like having them at depot and being able to show them around and like show them wherever you live for 6 months and what you went through, right? Like
Yeah, that's tough for sure. Well, and so you do your grad. I have your pictures. You looked amazing. Oh my God. I was like, look at my girl all grown up. And then how much time do they give you? Like you're leaving depot, you're packing your stuff up. Is it like you're going from depot and like in 2 days you need to be in Fort Mac ready to, or do they give you a little bit of time to kind of like get your life sorted out and get a place to live and things like that?
During the training and such, because whenever we graduated the 20th, so I think I left the 21st in the morning, and then we were flying to Fort Mac on the 26th.
So you had to be there for the 27th. So you basically had 5 days. 5 days.
Yeah, so it's basically, yeah, super fast. Like you barely have time to spend with your family. You packed, you got the movers for your vehicle. And then, yeah, the next day you're basically flying out for your posting. And I started the 28th of December. So I flew on the 26th, and 2 days later, I was starting my first day.
Crazy. And at Christmas, in the dead of winter, in Fort McMurray. Wow. Yay.
I remember flying, like I flew. I didn't want to drive because I didn't know what the roads would look like. So I remember flying, like I was getting in Fort Mac was a bit later, whatever. I was like, holy shit, I'm actually landing in a shithole. Like there's nothing around here. Like what the hell? Where the hell are they sending me?
Oh my gosh, that's funny. So you get there and like did you have a place to stay? Like had you rented a place or like what did you like? Okay, so you've at least
we looked online for several months or whatever to find a place, and then people are very helpful, right? They know you're going through so much with the RCMP. So we told them we were from the RCMP, so they helped us doing like just like FaceTime, like showing us the apartments around and like townhouses. So we're currently in the townhouse, but we like it. Like it's, I mean, everything is pricey in Fort Mac, but
yeah,
the town pays you like, I think we get an extra 12 grand each a year that the city gives us.
Oh wow.
So it basically pays for rent. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you land and you start on the 28th. How was your first day? Like you're walking into the detachment, straight up Rook, first day, fucking have just left depot, stars in your eyes. How was that first day for you?
It's super stressful. Like my field coach made me drive like right away. So I'm like, what the hell am I getting myself into? But it's like, it's so unreal, right? Because whenever you're at depot, it doesn't feel like real. You're doing like, whenever you do your arrests at depot, you're doing on your partners or your troop mates and such. So it's like, whatever, I'm just going to arrest my troop mates and such. But whenever you're down here, like your arrests are with like random people you've never seen before. So it's super stressful to see what you're getting yourself into, but it's amazing, right? Like you're the first point of contact whenever there's accidents, whenever there's like a call, you're the first one to be there. So, I mean, to be able to help people that are really needing it, and it's awesome to see. And you really get, I'm in a watch wherever there's a lot of French people, so it's cool. There's a bunch of people from Quebec, so you get along, you meet good people, you make your own, like it's for sure not a posting I would have loved. Like I would have wished to be closer to Edmonton and such, but you got to make it the best out of it, right? Like if you make it miserable, then you'll be miserable for 5 years. So if you make the best out of it, then I'm sure your time goes way by faster, and it's a better experience for sure.
Yeah. So you said you're field officer. So when you got there, do they basically marry you up with somebody? And like, is that a set person you're with for like X amount of months? Or is it like on this shift, you're going to be with this person, on this shift, you're going to be with this person? Or like, how does that work? And is there like paperwork that has to go along with that program? Or is it just all straight on the job work?
No, you get like a field coach to begin with. So your field coach basically writes to you whenever you're at depot. And I was lucky enough when my field coach, she was really nice, like texting me before the rest of my exams and like wishing me luck. So she was there for some of my process too, right? So she really helped me. So I felt like I knew her already whenever I got here.
That's awesome.
So that was good, right? It's always better whenever you can get along with your field coach, and that makes it way better for the time that you're with them anyways. But you're with them really driving with them for 2 months. Your field coach training program is 6 months, so you ride with them in the same vehicle for 2 months, and then after that you're riding in your own vehicle. but they still attend to calls with you after, like, even though you're riding by yourself. So my field coach would attend with me for calls, and then if she wasn't able to attend, then there's another member that would attend at the same time, right? We always try to be two or like as much as we can on the call, because we never know whenever shit hits the fence. But so it was super good. Like, everyone got along, and she was very helpful. So
yeah, that's awesome.
It made my experience way better.
Yeah, totally. Well, and like to have somebody that's invested in how you do and invested that you are trained well is a huge thing. Like, I never understood sometimes, because I used to be the like organizer of the field training program for corrections, and sometimes we would get field training officers that gave zero fucks, and they were just doing it because it was like, a tick in their resume. And I was just like, but like, you have to actually care about training these people, like, because you can't not train them and then bitch that you have a whole bunch of fucking dumbasses that work for us and fucking this rookie doesn't know what to do. You didn't fucking show them. Like, you can't bitch that they don't know what to fucking do if you didn't fucking show them how to do it. Like, it's not like a job where you can figure it out, right? Like, I'll just figure out how to print this document. It's not like that. Or I'll just figure out how to do this Excel spreadsheet. It is not fucking like that. There's no figuring it out when you're on the street, right?
Oh, like, there's so many forms that needs to be filled out depending of what call you're dealing for, whether it's like a missing person or like a domestic violence call. So many forms that need to be filled out. So as long as someone shows you the correct way the first time, well, it gets easy after a while, after like doing them a few times, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. So just over a year, you've been kind of on the street. And so any crazy things that have happened, any like scary calls, anything like that, really, because you weren't in law enforcement before. So this is your first real taste of like, holy fuck, this is real. Like said, like, this isn't training anymore. It's not playing around. This is like a real fucking dude who really does want to fucking hurt me. Like, wow. So anything like that, where that kind of feeling of like, oh fuck, like maybe, wow, this is real.
Yeah, no, for sure. We see all kinds, right? Like, especially people that are intoxicated and on drugs, right? They're not themselves. So whenever you interact with them, they're very unpredictable. You don't really know how they'll react. And my last shift before I went to admin duty or whatever, I had a gun pointed on my head, and I knew I was pregnant, right? So my mom was like, get the hell out. You're not working anymore. Like, you need to tell them. So everything is unpredictable. Like, just a random call that you think you'll just do like a curfew check on someone or whatever, and like just knock on the door, it can be like someone pointing a gun at your head, and right, like, you're just crossing your fingers, they don't really push on the trigger, right? So it's you just tell your loved ones you love them, and then just enjoy every day like it was your last one, because it's such a career that you can't really predict if you'll end up coming home at night, right? So
absolutely, yeah. So that call, so what was it like? You were just doing a routine like check on somebody?
We were just doing a check, looking for someone, and then, well, I'm not too sure what kind of like environment these people live in or whatever, right? So you can't really predict how they'll react, but yeah, we knocked on the door, and that's how they greeted us. So I don't know if they were expecting. It's like, dude, and you're far away, right? Like, Fort Mac, we cover some of the reserves, territory that we cover. It can be quite far away. So sometimes your backup can be super far away. So it's always to really try and schedule whatever you're getting yourself into. But as I said, you can't really predict anything, right? So it's hard sometimes, but hey, it is what it is. And I feel like we learn because we cover so many departments and we see all kinds. Fort Mac it's probably not the prettiest department you could work, like detachment you could work in. Because I mean, with the oil camps and like everything around it, people have so much money that they get themselves in trouble most of the time. So they don't know what to do with their own money. So it's usually drugs and alcohol, right? So
my friend Courtney, and she was in on season 1. She's down now working in sexual assault crimes in Edmonton, but she was stationed in Fort Mac for 5 years. And like she said, she's like, it's just wow. Like, she's like, you go from, she came from the East Coast, and so she like hit Fort Mac and was like, holy fuck, like, whoa, this is rough. Like, we got to get like up to speed real quick. But she says, then there's also amazing community members who just are like so proud of, you know, living in Fort Mac and being Fort Mac and Fort Mac strong and things like that, that she says, you know, like there is a lot of shit and it can get wild real quick. But she says, you know, there's also a lot of really, really good people up there. And so even though she basically had the same reaction as you, oh my God, this is like, you know, she said within the first 2 years, once she settled and kind of started to learn the community and learn the people, and she's like, you know, it was good. But she did say too, same as you, like being in the northern community, like you're doing everything. Like there is no people to do this for you or to do this for you like there would be if you were in, you know, a detachment that was in the Edmonton area, right? Or if you were in around the Calgary area, right? Like you're up there, it's you guys. There's nobody around to do that extra work, right? So
and if we need someone, they're like hours away. Sometimes we need like the medical examiners coming from Edmonton, then you got to wait 4 hours on a call just for them to drive down. And like, you know, with the shitty conditions of the roads right now during winter, it takes forever for someone to even show up. Or like, if our dogman is not there, he's on vacation, then you got to wait for a dogman that's like in another detachment. Sometimes there's hours away. So, I mean, it sucks, but we've got like each department, right? So we've got drugs, we have like forensics, we have everything. So that makes it easy for other investigations. But like we said, whenever we run out of staff or like whenever we don't have them, then that sucks because we got to wait hours for someone to show up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so I don't want to keep you because I know that you're probably tired because you're 18 weeks pregnant and I was fucking exhausted when I was. So I don't want to keep you because there's probably bedtime coming for you. But I'm gonna jump into some quick kind of rapid fire questions just to kind of wrap up our session. I like I said, I've had a blast with you. I love hearing your stories. I love hearing your accent. I think it's adorable. But so let's talk about during Depo, was there a go-to snack or something, some food that kept you going that was like, I need this to study or I need this to make me feel better because I fucking hate my life right now? Anything like that for you at Depo?
No, but I love their ice cream machine. They had like an ice cream machine at the cafeteria down there. So it was my go-to whenever I needed dessert or something to pump me up. Or the slushies, or like there's so many good treats.
Oh my God. See, this is the thing. I couldn't go to Depo because even if I was running every day, I would eat all the fucking ice cream and all the treats and be like, delicious.
Trust me. After all the running you do there, you can eat all the shit you want. It doesn't matter in the end.
That's amazing. Okay. All right. So what was your favorite kind of piece of equipment that you learned how to use while you were at Depo or that you know, had never tried before and got to play around with at Depo?
Well, I'd say the gun, right?
Yeah.
It was my biggest struggle, but it's your tool that you need the most whenever shit hits the fence. So you need to be able to work with it. It was my biggest struggle, but in the end, you need to make sure you're good at it, because if anything happens, you got to know how it works and how to make it work if it eventually stops working, or like. So it's fascinating how it works and like everything that you're capable to do with this little gun. But I can't wait for them to change it. I think they're looking into changing it because this one is super heavy and like the trigger on it is super hard to press. I think it's like almost like 12 pounds with like your little finger to try and push backwards, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully the next one is less heavy. So
yeah,
I would hope it would make it better for everyone. But you need to get good with your tools and know how to use them properly.
Said there's sometimes a difference between life or death for you. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what was one of like the funniest things that happened to you at Depo?
Oh, probably whenever I had to be the right marker.
Okay.
Like the right marker is the kind of the main person in your troop that like gets your troop ready in the morning, that like tells your troop where they need to go, and like the main character in your troop really. And then during the process or whatever, sometimes every Friday you would draw and then see who would be the right marker. And my stupid name was drawn one day, and I was like, oh fuck, I gotta do this shit. But it's just so hard, like, because I would never want to be that person in that troop. Like, the less work to give me, the better. And then that one day, whenever I had to do it, it was hilarious. Like, you just, I don't know, try and run the show, but
they're like, okay, little Cat just telling us what to do. Are we doing it or not? Like, did your troop rebel and be like, we're not listening to you?
Or like in my drill class, like the corporal, he's now a sergeant or whatever, would be like, hey, you, the short one, down for 10, like tell you to go down for 10 push-ups. You're like, what the fuck, short one? Yes, I know I'm fucking short. And what? What are you going to do?
You're like, oh, nothing. You're going to make me do push-ups. Okay, I'll do the 10. I'm doing 10 push-ups. Thank you. That's awesome. Okay, and one final one. What piece of advice would you give to somebody that is looking to go into the RCMP? You've dropped a couple really great gems, but anything else that you can think of to somebody that wants to get into the RCMP?
No, not really, but just pursue your goals, right? Like, you've got something in mind, just go for it, right? Don't let anyone stop you. I didn't think I was going to be able to achieve it, and like, it's never something that I would have imagined myself doing for the rest of my life. But if it's really something that interests you, just push towards it, and then anyone is capable of doing it, right? Like, there's nothing that really can stop you in life other than your own self, right? So just push through it, and whenever you really want something, everything is possible. So that's my biggest advice.
I love that. That is a fantastic piece of advice. Just stay true to it and push through and do the work, and you can get there. That's awesome.
Oh, for sure.
Well, Doll, it has been amazing to talk to you and catch up with you again. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on, being brave, talking to me, giving me all the goss and all the goods. I totally appreciate it. I hope that you have a wonderful Christmas and a great new year. And I'm so excited for what's going to come in 2023 for you. And I cannot wait to see this baby. So when is your due date? You've got to be like April-ish then, hey?
It's going to be May 26th.
And there you go. Yes. Spring baby, perfect time. Then you can fucking
roll
through the summer. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well,
okay,
thank you so much for having me. Love you, ton.
I love
Talk
you
to
too,
you
baby.
soon.
Okay, take care of yourself. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for listening, tuning in, and sharing your time and energy with us. Make sure you check out our next episode starring another badass female first responder on Apple, Spotify, or TuneIn. And make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Blue Line Fitness Testing.